Hello friends and welcome back to Shop Talk. I'm your host Tyler, and today we're going to be showing you how you can put to use some old scrap wood in your garage to build a nice, cheap, and effective skateboard rack. So stay tuned. Skateboarding, a truly American pastime. It's got its roots in Dogtown in the late 70s. If you've been skateboarding for any amount of time, you've probably collected up a few of these bad boys. And if you're anything like me, you ain't got nowhere to put them. So today I'm going to be showing you how you can take just a few pieces of scrap wood and turn it into a very cheap and effective skateboard rack. So let's go ahead and get started. Now you're going to need a few supplies for this project. Number one, you're going to need a drill. You're also going to need some fasteners. For this, I'm using number 9 3 1/8 inch hex bolt fasteners. You're also going to need something to measure with. I'd recommend some measuring tape and a speed square so you can make some straight lines. Other than that, if you're going to be measuring, you're also going to need a writing utensil. Oh, then you're also going to need a miter saw. And if you don't have a miter saw, then what the fuck are you doing? Get a miter saw. One of the other things you're going to need for this project is a sweat rag because, well, it's hot, and I haven't made it to the point in my life where I have an air-conditioned garage yet. So, as far as your wood, you're also going to need just a variety of scrap wood. Now, I'm going to be cutting these scraps down to 7 inches, and I'm going to need 6 of them. Other than that, you're also going to need a longer piece of scrap. Now, this one's 56 inches, and for my project, that's just right. So let's go ahead and get started. So here I am right now, measuring out my scrap wood to 7 inches, which at the time I thought would be ample inches to give clearance for the skateboards. This would prove to be a fatal error in the design of my skateboard rack, as I should have made them 9.5 inches. So please make those adjustments in your own skateboard rack. Don't do what I did. Make them 9.5 inches the first time, so you don't waste half your day. And here I go, cutting the wood to the wrong size, like a moron. And I'm having to come up with creative ways to support the wood here because I'm cutting it too short. Had I just cut it at 9.5 inches the first time, I wouldn't have had to do that with that extra little block and scrap wood on top. But you know, mistakes were made. Here I am sanding the blocks that I will not be using for anything. They will just be going back into the scrap bin. What a fucking idiot. Now that I've got all my pieces cut out and sanded, it's time to see exactly how far they need to be apart so they can snugly hold on to a skateboard. Let's figure it out. Alright, so after doing a few measurements and just taking a look at this and putting the skateboard up here, I've concluded that about 1 inch in between each one of these boards will work just about right. That'll be just snug enough, but just loose enough that it's not too hard to take the skateboard back out. I've also decided that I want to leave an area at the bottom and the top of the board free of one of these blocks, so that way it's easier to screw it into a stud, and that way I don't have to find a screw that's long enough to fit through this and another 2x4. Alright, so what I'm doing here is I am striking lines and figuring out my measurements. This is still a good way to do this, just do it at the proper dimensions. I was making these lines around 5.5 inches apart, and then the two closer lines are 1 inch apart. That dimension will still remain the same. 1 inch is the clearance you'll need for your skateboard. However, you'll need those other lines to be further apart. And if you make those blocks to 9.5 inches, you will not have a problem. Here I am attaching the first block, and then also the screws that I'm using are going to be shorter screws. The screws that I had mentioned in the beginning of the video, those were a little bit too long. They actually went through both 2x4s and poked out a little bit on the other side. And I was trying to avoid any injury while I was handling the skateboard rack, so I decided to go with a smaller screw. And here I am putting those smaller screws into the wood. Alright friends, now that we've got 2 of these fastened on here, it's time to test to see if we can fit a board in. So let's check it out. Fits like a glove. Sturdy too. Now if we did this right, and I'm sure we did and made all our measurements correctly, the second board should fit in just as nicely. Motherfucker! Well, friends, let's go ahead and recut everything I just cut and start all over. All right. And folks, that's the last screw. Looks like we're all finished with this. Now it's just time to mount it. Alright friends, looks like we're just about done here with our project. Last thing we've got to do is mount it to the wall. You could paint it if you want, but I'm getting pretty fucking tired of this project at this point. So let's go ahead and find those studs. Boom! Right where the white stripe is. Looks like I'm in luck. Well, folks, looks like this one's all done. Another one for the record books. Hey, this project was a lot of fun, and I think we all learned a little something. Hey, if you like this video, go ahead and drop a like, and even subscribe to my channel if you'd like more content like this. And as always, try not to cut any fucking fingers off. Alright then.